everyone, and welcome to my sewing room. I'm Rebecca, and today we are going to put the final finishing touches on the 1874 fashion plate that I've been recreating from Mode Illustree, and we're actually going to get dressed and get ready in 1874 and take a few pictures together. This video will include both actually getting dressed with the corset and the undergarments and petticoats and everything, and also how to do your hair in 1874. I'm particularly attempting to recreate the style that's in the fashion plate, which is a fairly simple one, but not one that I've actually done before, where it's pretty simple in the front, and then you kind of see a crown of hair around her, but you really don't get to see the back. So my friend Emily came over to help me with filming this video and with getting dressed and everything, and she surprised me with a present of this sort of hair comb device thing designed by Lynn McMaster that I had seen online before but hadn't really thought about purchasing, but I thought it was really cool. So anyway, I decided to try to use that for this tutorial. So this is my first time using this tool, but I think it actually worked really well, and I really like the hairstyle that I came up with using it. So let's go ahead and jump into getting ready for 1874.
Always remember, shoes before corset. These boots are Phantasma brand and are especially great for people with larger feet like me or for people on a budget. Mine have obviously seen better days, but I've also worn them for walking on beaches, on trails and paths, and they have been very sturdy and very reliable, and I've had them for several years. Next up, corset. If I remember correctly, I made this corset based on a Degrassioux pattern. I made this a few years ago, and it has been a very reliable corset for the 1870s. It has a slightly curved busk in front. And now, hair. This tool is designed by Lynn McMaster based on existing tools that they used in the 1870s to style their hair. I'm taking a large hair weft braid, and I've separated it in half and wrapped a little strip around the center. Then I wrap that strip around the tool as well, so that the hair adheres to the tool. Next, I'm twisting one half of the hair and wrapping it around the tool. I will continue to wrap it around, twisting and wrapping, until I get to the end of the hair and the bottom of the tool. Once I reach the end of the hair and the bottom of the tool, I will pin all of this in place with bobby pins. I am sticking pins between each puff so that each little twisted puff adheres to each other, grabbing just a few hairs from each puff and sliding downward. At the bottom, I'm taking the ends of the hair and crossing bobby pins over the ends so that they stay nicely in place. And that's the first side done. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the other side, twisting the hair and wrapping it around the tool in the opposite direction so that I get the same puffs like I got on the first side, but going the opposite direction. That way they look even. Again, once I've reached the bottom, I'll hold the ends of the hair in place while inserting pins between the puffs so that the puffs stay together. And again, when I get to the ends of the hair, I put 2 crossed bobby pins over the ends on the inside of the hairpiece to hold the ends in place. And now we have the beginnings of our hairpiece. It doesn't matter that there are some flyaway hairs here. We're going to be adding an additional braid. This is actually half of my jumbo weft, and I have braided this half in a regular 3-strand braid. I'm pinning the top of it and the back side of this hairpiece. And then I'm bringing the braid down to the bottom and wrapping it back up at the top. I wound up having just a little bit of extra length, so I did wind up folding the ends in a bit so that they would not stick out. Then I pin the ends of the braid in place on the back side, and I pin also through to several of the puffs, grabbing just a little bit of hair from the braid and inserting through the puffs so that the pin does not show. These are still just normal bobby pins. I'm also tucking in those end hairs that are starting to stick out on the front side and pinning them into the braid. Like so. If you see any additional stray hairs poking out of your hairpiece tool section, this is also the time to tuck those in with pins now that your hairpiece is feeling a little more stable. And that's the hairpiece. It will get applied to the back of the head. Now to style the hair. I'm using Lay Right Pomade, which is my favorite pomade product, and taking just a small bit on my finger, rubbing that between my fingers, and putting that just through the front of my hair. My hair is naturally curly, which really helps with this sort of hairstyle. I have smoothed the fronts with a straightener prior to creating this hairstyle, just so that I won't get any lumps and bumps in there. But the rest of my hair is basically its natural texture. For this hairstyle, you will want to take a center part. My hair does not particularly like being parted in the center, but do what you can. Then you're going to pull each side front back, and you're going to back comb just a little bit to puff up your hair in the front. Be sure to smooth those fronts before you pin them in place with crossed bobby pins. Do the same for the other side, pulling it out, back combing it a bit, smoothing over the front side, and pinning in place with the crossed bobby pins. This is a rather large hairpiece, and whenever I have a rather large hairpiece, I like to adhere it to pin curls in my hair, like you would a wig. So I'm taking a small section of hair towards the top of my head. Make sure it's not the hair that you've pulled over from the front, and twisting it around my fingers, laying it flat, and putting crossed bobby pins over this pin curl. Now I'm doing the same on the other side, making an equal pin curl on the other top side of my hair. Again, twisting it around my fingers, making sure not to grab any of the hair that I've pulled back from the front, and crossing bobby pins over it. These will be your 2 anchor points for your hairpiece. I am also going to create an anchor point pin curl at the center bottom of my hair. So I'm separating all of my remaining hair into 2 parts, save for a small piece basically at the nape of my neck, which I again will twist around my fingers, lay flat, and put crossed bobby pins over the pin curl. And thus I have 3 anchor points for my hairpiece to pin into. Now it's time to use our hairpiece. Figure out where you want it positioned on your head. I knew I wanted a sort of crown effect over the top of my head, so I positioned it thus. These are wig pins. They're about 4 inches long and the best pins ever. I do not know where to get these online. These were from prior theater experiences. Please, if you know where to get these large flat wig pins, please comment below because I am always searching for more. I only have about 6. I'm inserting these wig pins through the hairpiece and into my pin curl base. one pin through each side. These next pins are going to be used on the bottom sides to go into the bottom pin curl. This gives you a nice sturdy base to hold your hairpiece into. Then I'll use more pins on the sides of my hairpiece. When you use these large pins, you kind of put them angled out to the side of your head first as you're going through the hairpiece, and then angle into your hair. And that's how you get a nice bite that holds it in place. Once I have all of my pins in, I think I've used 5 or 6 pins at this point. Oh, stray bobby pin, let's put that back in. I'm then taking the side sections of hair, twisting them around, and using them to kind of hide the join between my hair and the hairpiece. So I twist them into a sort of crown effect, like some Heidi braids, but just twisted. And I'm pinning this into place with bobby pins. Now I'm doing the same thing with the other side, again twisting the hair and pulling it above to help hide that join. At this point, I can utilize any remaining wig pins that I have to further secure the hairpiece to my head. Places like the center front and also the side lower backs. If you run out of wig pins or don't have a way to source them, these large hairpins, which are about 3 inches long and U-shaped on the end, will also work. They're just not quite as sturdy. Hairpiece is now secured and in place. Smooth any bits in the front that need smoothing. You can do this with your brush, and feel free to apply some hairspray. First up is the crenellette. Mine is not a true crenellette, it is what I call a Franken crenellette. I have taken a hoop that I purchased a long time ago at a Renaissance fair actually, and decreased the sizes of the hoops. Onto that, I have added my Jane bustle, which I made for Jane in Tarzan, which is a very short, very wide, very huge lobster tail bustle. These can be pinned or sewn together, and the Jane bustle helps to hold the hoops so that the bottom hoops are forward and the back hoops stick out at the back at the bottom to give that nice crenellette shape. The next layer is the petticoat. This is a cotton organdy petticoat that I made last year to go over my Franken crenellette. I made this for my fairy godmother bustle. It has ruffles all up the back and also down around the bottom towards the hem. fluff your petticoats out to make sure that they are sitting right. It can also help to jump or fluff your crinolet up. My next layer is my chemisette. This chemisette also helps to act as a corset cover because of all the shirring over the bust. The chemisette ties at the lower back and buttons at the neck with 3 buttons. Although you can add as many petticoats as you want, I am wearing only one for this outfit. So my next layer is my underskirt. Next is the overskirt. All of the bustling in my overskirt is sewn into place with twill tapes, so I don't have to worry about tying anything into place. The final layer is the bodice. The bodice buttons up the front with fabric-covered buttons. And ta-da! We're dressed!
I hope you enjoyed this video and getting ready in 1874 with me. If you did, please go ahead and click the thumbs up icon, and if you want to see more videos from me similar to this or other sewing videos, please go ahead and click subscribe and the little bell icon to be notified every time I post a video. Thanks for joining me today, and happy sewing!